Hi there, this is Mary Frida Keira of Write Life Kenya, Words That Build. Today we are going to be delving into a very interesting topic, and the whole of the month of July we'll be looking at this topic, and this is boundaries. So what are boundaries? A boundary is a sort of a conceptual limit between you and another person. It is where you end and another person begins. So if you're visualizing it, it is sort of the space around which you exist and what defines you as a person. So contrary to popular belief, boundaries are not the same as walls. When people build up walls, it is meant to keep other people out and to keep them from accessing them. It is meant to keep you in sort of a cocoon. But a boundary is sort of a door that people know that this is who you are as a person. This is what you prefer as a person. This is how you expect to be treated by others. And thus it sets space for your relationships and how people treat you and how they take you in various aspects of life. So a boundary is a healthy thing to have in different areas. Some examples of boundaries you can have in your life can be expecting people to communicate maturely even when they disagree with you. That is maybe setting limits on the sort of words and tone people can use when they are communicating their disagreement with you. So, for example, you may set a boundary that you walk away from any argument where a person starts insulting you. That's an example of a boundary in terms of communication. Or your boundary at work, maybe you do not pick work calls beyond a certain time when you leave the office and go home. That's an example of a boundary. Another example could be that you do not get into certain spaces. For instance, maybe you do not get into bars or something of the sort because you do not want to be in a space where you're near beverages that are alcoholic and such a thing. So boundaries are the limits that we set in our lives to guide how we live and how we interact with other people. So setting boundaries is an act of self-love and is an act of self-care. And boundaries are very, very key to maintaining your mental health, your physical health, as well as your emotional health. So we're going to delve into some of the reasons why it is important for you to set boundaries in your life. Now, I chose this as the beginning so that once you know the importance, then we can go through how to set healthy boundaries for yourself. And we'll be doing this in the coming videos. But today, let's look at the importance of setting healthy boundaries. Now, number one is it allows you to practice self-care. Boundaries, as I have said, is an act of self-care. But in itself, setting boundaries allows you to prioritize your needs as a person. So as you're taking care of others, as you're doing your job, as you're doing assignments in school, as you're interacting with people, having effective and healthy boundaries allows you to be able to prioritize yourself as a person. So this might mean maybe placing restrictions on what time maybe visitors can leave your place so that maybe you're able to tend to yourself, or it may be being very strict with your time so that you're able to put your energies to the right use and allocate your time well during the day. So it might be when you set an appointment with someone, you expect them to keep that time and to honor it. And probably when they are not able to make the time, they communicate early enough for you to be able to set yourself. Those are some examples of boundaries that help you to practice self-care. It could also be boundaries around how you choose to spend your weekends, how you choose to pick work calls or answer work emails and such things. That allows you enough time for you to focus on your own needs as a person. So those ones are meant to communicate to people that beyond this point, I do not do this or that. So then it means that boundaries play an important role in us taking care of ourselves. The second way that boundaries help us is that they help us to regulate our emotions. Now, when you set boundaries, you're able to create a sort of safe and secure space for yourself emotionally so that people do not infringe on your emotional well-being. For instance, for me, when I am in a confrontation with someone, I choose to first take a beat and listen. And this is because over time I realized that in the heat of an argument, I can be very, very quick to say things that I do not mean and that might worsen or ruin a relationship. And once I realized that, then I set an emotional boundary where if there's a confrontation or someone disagreeing with my opinion, I sort of take a retreating position so that I am able to think through and work through my emotions, and then I can communicate at a later date or at a later time when I am able to voice my needs without necessarily saying things that I do not mean. Now, sometimes I fall off from this, and this can happen because creating healthy boundaries is a process that takes time. So you decide what that boundary means to you. And now what is expected of those around you is to respect your boundaries. If you're that sort of person, then probably the person you're having this communication with should give you that space and time so that you can work through the relationship. And if they do not, then you're able to take action, probably maybe give that relationship a bit of time, because uh, you need to ensure that those around you are able to respect your boundaries, and good friends and good family members will always respect the boundaries you set for yourself, because that way they are helping you to nurture your mental health and your emotional well-being. So boundaries will help you to regulate your emotions even as you go through the ups and downs of life. The third thing that boundaries will do for you is that they will help you to establish healthy relationships. Now, when you have boundaries in place, you're able to communicate your needs to those around you. You're able to communicate your expectations to those who are around you, and you're able to communicate your values. So your friends, your family, your colleagues are able to know that this is the type of person you are, and in so being, then they are able to treat you the way you're supposed to be treated, and you get respect and mutual understanding. So if people know that you expect to be given probably an assignment at a certain time which allows you enough time to work on it, then they are able to work on themselves to be able to deliver this way. And probably when they're not able to meet a deadline, then they can communicate in time so you can plan yourself. So having a boundary helps you to foster understanding of who you are as a person and be able to move forth in your relationships so that people know what do you expect from them, what do you need from them, what is it that you value. And that way it guides their actions and their reactions towards you. And if you also know their boundaries, then you're able to treat them with mutual respect and understanding, which goes to building healthy relationship. Now, toxic relationships come about when people don't respect each other's boundaries, and you're always stepping on someone's toes because you're not able to respect their boundary, and you're always overlooking what it is that they want and what it is that they need. But having boundaries can help us to have better relationships with each other. Having healthy boundaries also increases your self-esteem. When you know your boundaries and your limits, it's a show that you know yourself and that you value yourself and that you hold yourself in high esteem. It also helps you to know and respect your own boundaries, which contributes to self-assurance and increased self-confidence, because you're meeting the needs that you have, and so you're able to perform your daily duties in a way that is self-assured and in a way that is contributing to your overall well-being. So over time, practicing and forcing your boundaries will boost your self-confidence, will boost your self-assurance, and you'll be able to deliver on whatever it is that life throws at you, because you believe yourself to be worthy of love, of respect, and all the good things. And you're able to also treat others the same way. The other point is personal growth. Having healthy boundaries will require you to introspect and to develop a sense of self-awareness, which will foster your personal growth. It will require you to sit with yourself and find that authentic self, what it is that I like, what is it that I do not like, what is it that I enjoy, what is it that I cannot tolerate, what is it that empowers me, and what is it that demeans me. And by so doing, then you're able to focus on the activities that will help you to grow from stage to stage. For example, in terms of hobbies, you will discover what it is you're passionate about and good in, and you can focus more on these activities and hence be able to grow. If it is at work and you set a healthy boundary that people are supposed to respect you enough to give you the quiet that you need to maybe do your job, then you're able to perform on your tasks and not engage in, say, office gossip all the time, or people are making noise while you're supposed to be working. So you're able to enforce that and be able to be productive in your environment, and hence you're able to grow. So this growth can be emotional, physical, psychological, any sort of aspect where you have set healthy boundaries for yourself, then you will see progress even as you go along. So healthy boundaries foster personal growth. My last point is that setting boundaries will reduce the stress in your life. Setting boundaries will allow you to have a balanced lifestyle. This is because you have clarity in terms of how is it that I spend my time, how is it that I work my relationships, what is it that I want to do at a particular point. And so this brings order into your life. For instance, if you keep your weekends for resting, then you have this sort of routine that every Saturday I rest, I do some chores, and I probably hang out with a friend. So it sort of brings some sort of order into your life, and you're able to know this is the time that I work, this is the time that I rest, this is the time that I partake in spiritual activities and all sorts of things. And even when probably you're required to be flexible and maybe take on an assignment at work, you're able to know how much am I able to stretch and where am I not able to stretch to accommodate something else in my life. So having healthy boundaries will always help you to reduce the stress levels in your life. As I close, I'd like to remind you that setting boundaries requires you to be assertive, and it requires you to have good communication skills. Remember, we are not trying to build walls that keep people away from our life. No. What we are trying to do is take care of our well-being, psychologically, emotionally, mentally. So what we are doing is clearly and respectfully then communicating our limits to those around us, so that they are able to know that if we value you, this is how we treat you. And we also have to be very respectful of other people's boundaries and treat them with the same respect that we want to be treated with. So that said, I hope you will walk with me on the journey to how to set effective and healthy boundaries in your life next week. For today, that is it. That is what I had. I'd like to hear in the comments section, what are the boundaries that you have placed for yourself and how is that working for you? So thank you for listening. If you like this content and want to see more of it, click the subscribe button, share it with a friend, and I'll see you next week.